On the way to Florida, I was getting text messages from him while he's with this other girl, getting text messages talking about were they following my stretch marks as a roadmap to Florida.
Kristin and David Caskey met in high school at the tender age of 15, and 4 years later took their vows. But now, after 8 years of marriage and 4 children together, these one-time high school sweethearts are full-time enemies.
David is, or was, very verbal abusive. He was a womanizer and he was controlling.
Well, I would come home from work and have to clean the house. I'd come home from work and have to cook dinner.
I was doing the whole, I'm going to leave and he's going to see what he lost. Well, 3 weeks after I left, he had another female and her kids living in my house.
After so many years of animosity, Kristin and David are closing the door on their marriage. Today, on Divorce Court.
Come to order. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Lynn Toller presiding.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here with Kristin Caskey and David Caskey. Mr. and Mrs. Caskey, you have been married for 8 years, but separated for the last 3. You now want to call it a day in its entirety. You have some financial matters that you would like me to resolve, but before we do that, I'm going to start with you, Mrs. Caskey. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your marriage and why we're here today?
Your Honor, we're here today because David is, or was, very verbal abusive. He was a womanizer and he was controlling. I can remember one time in particular that I was cooking dinner and he came in and I was pregnant with our 4th child, and he said, "That's exactly how I like it, barefoot, pregnant, and cooking."
Was he joking?
Yeah.
No, he could have been
I was joking.
He could have been, but I took a lot of things to heart when it came to him. Another time, a friend called me and told me that she wanted to take me to Miami for a week. I didn't have to pay a dime. She was going to pay for everything, and I wanted to go. And he made it clear that if I went, that was going to be it. We were going to be over. I decided to go.
Mr. Caskey, you heard everything that Mrs. Caskey says. She seems to paint you as someone who's jealous and controlling. Why don't you tell me your vision? I mean, why is she wrong, or what was really going on?
Well, to an extent, I was controlling. Kristen's priorities weren't where they should have been.
Okay.
We had a family. We have kids. We had a mortgage. We had, I had a business. I needed a wife. I needed someone that was going to help me at home while I'm out, bringing the bread in.
Well, what wasn't she doing that she needed to do in order to take care of the business?
Well, I would come home from work and have to clean the house. I'd come home from work and have to cook dinner. Make sure the kids' homework was done. This was a daily routine for me. It got old quick.
Was he coming home from a full day's work and had to cook, clean, and get the kids together?
No, Your Honor. He'd come home from work and I would have dinner ready. He would sit down and watch TV. I would make the kids their plates, and then I'd bring him his plate, his drink. If he needed seconds, I'd get it for him. If the house was not clean and the dinner was not made, I was lazy.
What about the trip to Florida? Do you recall that one?
Oh, yeah.
What happened? What was the conversation you two had about that?
She told me about this trip to Florida that her and her girlfriends wanted to take. It was bad timing. I couldn't take a week off of work. There was no way. But she did it anyway. I actually came home from work that weekend, and there was a note on the table with their wedding rings saying that she was done and she's in Miami.
What did you do with the kiddies?
He had the kids.
So he was working and you just left the kids with him and broke camp and went to Florida?
Yes, ma'am.
He wasn't working at the time. Actually, when I actually went to Florida, this was like 3 weeks after he's talking about I left the note in the ring. I went to Florida 3 weeks after that.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't the same time.
Right. But during that time, when he had the kids in the 3 weeks, I had left. I was doing the whole, I'm going to leave and he's going to see what he lost. Well, 3 weeks after I left, he had another female and her kids living in my house.
Oh, that ain't true at all.
Yes,
it was not 3 weeks. It was more like 3 months. And she wanted me to come chasing after her. She wanted me to come chasing after her, and I wasn't going to.
More like, I gotta say, you people do business quicker than I've gone years without a boyfriend.
Right.
Years.
Right.
It was like 3 years between law school and my husband. 3 years, no dude, at all. And then
You gotta understand,
I had him
though.
for 2 years before I...
You got to understand, Your Honor, I was by myself with 4 kids trying to work. I had a girl that needed a place to stay.
Well, was it a romantic thing, or... Because, see, me, I'd have paid a sitter, not move the woman in.
Right.
But that's just me.
When divorce court continues, will David man up about his poor treatment of Kristen?
Not recently, but I've been verbally abusive towards her.
Okay. You just said you've been verbally abusive to her. What, Mr. Caskey, would you like to do? Are you considering getting married but aren't quite sure your intended is the right one for you? I'll give you my opinion. Call toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or visit our website at divorcecourt.com or become a fan at facebook.com/divorcecourt.
Divorce Court is back with the case of Kristin Caskey, who says all her husband David does is yell at her. But what's put David in such a bad mood?
It's 2 in the morning. I hear a bunch of noise going on. I go out in my garage, they're playing beer pong. Now, there's people out there I've never even seen before.
Your Honor, on the way to Florida, I was getting text messages from him while he's with this other girl, getting text messages talking about were they following my stretch marks as a roadmap to Florida.
I mean,
Some of
I
the
think
stuff-
what she did was wrong. I don't think you break camp and leave the kids. I just don't believe, I mean, you take care of that. You just don't do that. It weirds them out. But were you writing rude text messages to her when she did it? Because you were mad?
I've always, I mean, not recently, but I have been verbally abusive towards her. I'm not gonna deny that.
Okay. Wait. You just said you've been verbally abusive to her. What, Mr. Caskey, grown man, human being, would you like to do right now after having made that admission? What would you like to do?
I want to get on with my life.
Swing and a miss. Apologize.
I mean,
He's telling you.
I shouldn't have to apologize. She's no better. She's
You
just
know what? You know what?
just as verbally abusive as I am.
You know what, Mr. Caskey, I gotta say this. If I do something wrong and he does something wrong, whether or not he apologizes for his wrong, I apologize for mine, because that's mine. That's my responsibility.
I apologize. I'm sorry for everything.
Now, Ms. Caskey, did you give as good as you got?
No, not that bad. No, I got called a fat, look, Your Honor, I had 4 kids in a row.
Right.
My kids are 10, 9, 8, and 7.
Woo.
One after the other, we had them. I was usually like 145. After my 4th child, I was 230 pounds. I got called a fat cow. I got called fat on a daily basis. I mean, he broke me down.
We fought a lot. She knew how to get to me. I knew how to get to her.
And that's the thing I don't understand. If you want a better wife, it's like if you want your car to be better, you don't go out there with a sledgehammer and knock in the windows. It doesn't, it doesn't make any sense. You polish it, you get under the hood, you work it, and for some reason, and I'm going to say couples in general, I'm not just going to say men, feel that I want to get a better spouse, so I'm going to beat the living crap out of them till I get it. I mean, verbally or emotionally. I don't understand that. I mean, I don't understand that at all. I'm going to let you off the hook for a little while. Why don't you tell me some of the gross misdeeds on Ms. Caskey's part? Because I know something's got to be up.
My biggest thing with her was her priorities.
Okay.
She wasn't ready to grow up. I understand we had kids at a young age, we got married at a young age, and we started a life at a young age. She wasn't ready to accept that life. She wanted to make the life, but she didn't want to proceed with the deed. She wanted to hang out with her friends. She wanted to hang out.
Were you running the streets, Mrs. Caskey?
Not just running the streets. She'd bring her friends to my house at 2 in the morning. Yeah, I'd wake up in the middle of the night. I remember specifically one night. I woke up. I had to work the next morning. It's 2 in the morning. I hear a bunch of noise going on. I go out in my garage. They're playing beer pong. There's people out there I've never even seen before.
Were you playing beer pong out at 2 o'clock in the morning?
Your Honor, where he's saying that he was the one that worked all the time, no, when he's talking about he woke up and he came out in the garage and we were out in the garage making noise, I had just gotten off of work at 2 o'clock in the morning, and that was my crew that came home with me. And
Why would you bring your work crew home from work?
You still mad about it? That
I mean,
was
it
years
aggravated.
ago. That was years ago.
When divorce court continues, have David and Kristen been living two totally separate lives?
So what job are you talking about you took?
That was the job.
I only right back home. You guys, the only reason I let you argue a little because it sounds like y'all never met. Do you think David is too controlling? Call 1-800-282-1991 to vote now and see if America agrees with your opinion. You'll also receive some valuable offers. Call 1-800-282-1991 now.
If you would like your case heard on Divorce Court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or log on to our website at divorcecourt.com and follow us on Twitter at Divorce Court. Divorce Court returns with the case of David Caskey, who insists that he's been nothing but a good provider for Kristen and the kids. But how does David explain Kristen's dire situation?
But because he paid the bills like he says he did, me and my kids wouldn't have ended up in a homeless shelter.
You say that he's not financially responsible anymore. He talks about working all the time, but you say he really never took care of the bills and is certainly not doing anything for the children now.
That's what I found funny. After we split up and he moved in that other girl, he called me and said, I can't do this no more. You come back and you can stay with the kids and you can take care of the household. I can't do it.
I was losing a grip. I was losing my grip.
So I said, okay. So I came back and I was excited. I got my kids. We're in a house.
Right.
Not even a week later, all the utility companies are showing up at my door talking about, we're here to shut you off. The bills haven't been paid in months. Foreclosure notices were coming in the mail.
So did he move out or did you move in with him?
No, he moved out. He moved with
With
that
the other
girl.
woman
Yeah.
and her kids.
No, I took a job out of state. That's the only reason I asked her to come back.
You never took that job.
I went there and I had to come
I
back.
drove you there and you said you wouldn't stay there because there were 6 guys in a hotel room together.
Would you?
So what job are you talking about you took?
That was the job. They wanted the
I
whole
brought you
crew
right
into a
back
room.
home.
Take the job, though.
I brought you right back home.
Hey, you guys, the only reason I let you argue a little because it sounds like y'all never met. It's like, oh no, that never happened. Oh no, it's not like you have 2 different sides of one issue. It's like this didn't happen or that didn't happen. So you did not take that job
Oh, I
out of
did
town.
take the job. I took the job, but when I got there, I refused the job. I wasn't going to sleep on the floor with 6 other
You
guys in one
accepted
hotel
the job,
room.
but you never took the job.
Exactly.
You didn't work at the job.
I did not. I came right back home.
So you came right back.
But she was already in the house and already established.
Right.
So I
And what
had to
about,
find
and what
somewhere else
about
to live.
child support? Was that cool?
as far right now,
He wasn't ordered child support then yet.
Oh.
But because he paid the bills like he says he did, me and my kids wouldn't have ended up in a homeless shelter.
no, that's not even. That was a year. That was a year after you had the house. You lost the house, not me.
I lost the house because the bills were
what-
so over. I'm still paying off the bills. I'm in a new house, but they wouldn't let me turn on my utilities
Until you
without
paid
that
off the
back.
bill.
Yeah.
You said you could handle it. You said you could take care of it.
Not when the electric bill's $1,200.
I told you about all
heater
that.
bill.
Well, let me ask you this. Since we don't have any clue what went on when you were married, why don't we talk about the separation? How are you two getting along now? I mean, is he paying child support? Is everybody getting to see the kids on a regular basis? What's going on?
He pays child support when he gets threatened with something, but no, he's $14,000 behind. And he sees the kids when it's his time.
Convenient.
When me and the kids were in the homeless shelter, I called, it was his weekend.
How long were you in a homeless
For
shelter?
3 months. For 3 months. And
Well, did you fly in? Why didn't you fly in with your Superman cape, scoop them up?
because he was busy with the
Are
other
you talking
girl.
to me?
Yeah, you.
He was busy with the other girl. Your Honor, we were in there.
Seriously, I want to know.
She didn't want nothing to do with me at that time. She didn't want me around her. She didn't want me around the kids.
No, that's a lie. No,
So you were cool with the kids being in a homeless shelter?
No, I was bouncing around myself. I don't understand what I
No,
was
you
supposed to do.
No, you weren't.
So you weren't working at the time, is what you're telling me. You had no
Right.
money.
Right. That's the way it was.
Yes, he did. He did, and I know that for a fact because right before me and the kids went to a homeless shelter, we were staying in a hotel for 2 weeks. It was his weekend to take the kids, and I called, and I had him on speakerphone, and I said, It's your weekend. Are you coming to get them? I'm not coming to get the kids till me and you get a divorce.
Oh, that.
I said, what does the kids have to do with it? He did not see them after that for a good 4 to 5 months.
Wow.
When divorce court continues, has Kristen been using the kids as pawns against David?
I just want to see my kids on a regular basis.
And she won't let you. Do you think David is too controlling? Call 1-800-282-1991 to vote now and see if America agrees with your opinion. You'll also receive some valuable offers. Call 1-800-282-1991 now.
Divorce court returns with the case of Kristen and David Caskey, who after being together since they were 15 and married for 8 years, are jumping ship on their sinking marriage.
Mr. Caskey, why don't you give me a final word? What do you think your relationship as it stands now with respect to your kids and her, what's going on and how would you like it to change, if at all?
I just want to see my kids on a regular basis.
And she won't let you?
She dictates when I can see them and when I can't. She'll threaten me. If I'm late on child support, I can't see the kids, which ain't fair because it ain't the kids' fault. I'm a good dad.
I have never kept the kids from him over child support.
You know, you can pick them up, take them to a park, and then take them right back to her house.
That's not how it works with her. I can't have them for just a couple hours. It's either the whole weekend or nothing.
All right. Let's talk about the money issues that you want to resolve here. Mrs. Caskey, you are seeking $8,000 for the car that you bought him, which he sold to a friend after you say he forged your signature. Explain that to me.
2 of his friends own a car lot.
That's the car right there.
Yeah, that's the car right there. His first friend we bought the car off of, and it was paid off. Done. That's the first car I've ever paid. I love that car. First car I've ever paid off. But because he had the kids when I left the car. The car was in my name. Come to find out, he comes around and he's driving this little car around. And I'm like, where's the expedition? I sold it for $1,200 in a smaller vehicle so I could save on gas or something. Said the transmission or something was going out of it. But the title was in my name. So how did you sell the car without having to forge my signature? Oh, because your friend owns a car lot and his girlfriend's a notary and they did it for you.
Mr. Caskey, you care to
I did
comment?
sell the expedition, but she walked away from it. I needed the money at the time. I had all the kids.
Did he participate in the purchase of the car?
Minimal.
But he did.
Because I don't know what he's saying. I've never worked.
I made the final payment, $3,000. I made the final payment, but it was minimal.
$3,000 final payment? Did
Final
he make
payment.
It?
No.
I don't know what happened here. All I know is I'm glad you two are not together anymore. I think he was mean to you. I think he was mean and hurtful to you because he's still mad about some little nonsense today, the stuff that happened 5, 6 years ago. And I hope you maintain your sense of self and don't let whatever he said or did
Your Honor, I got a
hurt you.
tattoo on my chest after we split up, and it says, love yourself. And that was so if I ever hung my head again, that would be what I saw, to love myself first.
I believe in Mr. Caskey. I believe you did a significant damage with your attitude and the way you treated her. I really, really do.
I know I have.
And I wish you had been man enough to apologize without prompting. I hope you can be man enough to see your children as often as you can and not have to fight to get support from you. I can't give you the $8,000. I don't know who paid how much for what for the car and all of that, and you don't have any paperwork, nothing to show me, and I can't make that kind of significant transfer of funds without some kind of evidentiary underpinnings. But Mr. Caskey, do better, and Mrs. Caskey, as they say in here all the time, you do you. There will be no recovery in this matter. It is so ordered.
All rise. Parties may leave the courtroom.
The car was bought off of his friends, and they wouldn't give me the proper paperwork, but she was fair.